was to expand so dramatically that it would transform the nature of modern war. Thanks to the loosely worded contract that Halliburton and Cheney had crafted when he was at the Pentagon, the company was able to stretch and expand the meaning of the term logistical support until Halliburton was responsible for creating the entire infrastructure of a U.S. military operation overseas. All that was content providers, while Halliburton ran the show. The result, first on display in the Balkans, was a kind of military experience in which deploying abroad resembled a heavily armed and perilous package vacation. The first person to greet our soldiers as they arrive in the Balkans, and the last one to wave goodbye, is one of our employees, a Halliburton spokesperson explained, making the company's staff sound more like cruise directors than Army logistics. In the Balkans, where Clinton deployed 19,000 soldiers, U.S. bases are as mini Halliburton cities, neat gated suburbs built and run entirely by the company. And Halliburton was committed to providing the troops with all the comforts of home, including fast food outlets, supermarkets, movie theaters, and high-tech gyms. Some senior officers wondered what the strip mauling of the military would do to troop discipline, but they too were enjoying the perks. Everything with Halliburton was gold-plated, one told me, so we weren't complaining. As far as Halliburton was concerned, keeping the customer satisfied was good business. It guaranteed more contracts, and because profits were calculated as a percentage of costs, the higher the costs, the higher the profits. Don't worry, it's cost plus. In just 5 years at Halliburton, Cheney almost doubled the amount of money the company extracted from the U.S. Treasury, from $1.2 billion to $2.3 billion, while the amount it received in federal loans and loan guarantees increased 15-fold. And he was well rewarded for his efforts. Before taking office as vice president, Cheney valued his net worth at between $18 million and $81.9 million in options, with 100,000 already used, 760,000 eligible to be redeemed, and 106,667 to be valid in December of 2000. The push to expand the service economy into the heart of government was for Cheney a family affair. In the late 90s, while he was turning military bases into Halliburton suburbs, his wife Lynn was earning stock options in addition to her salary as a board member of Lockheed Martin, the world's largest defense contractor. Lynn's time on the board from 1995 to 2001 coincided with a key period of transition for companies like Lockheed. The Cold War was over, defense spending was dropping, and with nearly their entire budgets coming from arms manufacturers, a strategy emerged to aggressively pursue a new line of work, running the government for a fee. In the mid-90s, Lockheed began taking over information technology divisions of the U.S. government, running its computer systems and a great deal of its data management. Largely under the public radar, the company went so far in this direction that in 2004, the New York Times reported, Lockheed Martin doesn't run the United States, but Lockheed writes more computer code than Microsoft. And for a powerful husband and wife team, while Dick was steering Halliburton to take over the infrastructure of warfare abroad, Lynn was helping Lockheed to take over the day-to-day running of government at home. At times, husband and wife found themselves in direct competition. In 1996, when the state of Texas announced that corporations could bid to run its welfare program, a contract worth up to $2 billion over 5 years, both Lockheed and the IT giant Electronic Data Systems, which boasted Dick Cheney as a board member, bid on the contract. In the end, the Clinton administration intervened and halted the auction. Though it was generally an enthusiastic supporter of outsourcing, deciding who was eligible to receive welfare was the Governor of Texas, George W. Bush, who thought privatizing the welfare system was a terrific idea. I'm sorry, this goes on to also talk about, this is from the next chapter, our corporate state. The last chapter was Shock Therapy USA. And Ms. Klein goes on to talk about Cheney's refusal to sever ties with Halliburton, even after becoming vice president. It says here, Rumsfeld never really left Gilead behind. Gilead was a company that Rumsfeld was involved with, like a pharmaceutical company. Cheney was equally reluctant to fully sever his ties. Before stepping down as CEO to be George Bush's running mate, Cheney negotiated a retirement package that left him loaded with Halliburton stocks and options. After some uncomfortable press questions, he agreed to sell some of his Halliburton shares, making an impressive $18.5 million profit in the process. But he didn't cash out entirely. According to the Wall Street Journal, Cheney hung on to 189,000 Halliburton shares, millions every year in dividends from his stocks, and has also been paid an annual deferred income by Halliburton of $211,000, roughly equivalent to his government salary. When he leaves office in 2009 and is able to cash in his Halliburton holdings, Cheney will have the opportunity to profit extravagantly from the stunning improvement in Halliburton's fortunes. The company's stock was from $10 before the war in Iraq to $41 a share 3 years later, a 300% jump thanks to a combination of soaring energy prices and Iraq contracts, both of which flow directly from Cheney steering the country into war with Iraq. Iraq seems to fit Kinzer's formula perfectly. Saddam did not pose a threat to U.S. security, but he did pose a threat to U.S. energy companies, since he had recently leaving U.S. and British oil firms with nothing. The third largest proven oil reserves in the world was slipping out of the Anglo-American grasp. Saddam's removal from power opened vistas of opportunities for the oil giants, including ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell, and BP, all of whom have been laying the groundwork for new deals in Iraq, as well as for Halliburton, which with its move to Dubai is perfectly positioned to sell its energy services to all these companies. Already the war itself has been the single most profitable event in personal profit, ahead of the lives of the American people, ahead of the lives of the American soldiers, and ahead of the lives of Iraqis, ahead of the welfare of the United States. We haven't got bin Laden yet. We caught Saddam Hussein, right? We were able to make all this money for Halliburton and thus for Dick Cheney. I think Dick Cheney should be on trial for treason. That's my opinion. If you argue with my opinion, please feel free to comment on the video or whatever, okay? Thanks a lot for watching.